Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
Well, I'm always happy to speak with you, Don. Last time you were here, we even got to talk about some of your guitars, but I want to bring up your incredible tour. I can't believe this, the American Pie 50th anniversary tour. How did that sneak up on us?
It was planned to start in 2020. Then it had to be moved to 2021. I mean, these agents and these agencies have been absolutely killed with this pandemic. And now finally it's starting to open up and people are coming out. And now we've been doing shows. I've probably done like 15 shows now this year, and I'm going to start again in Disney World in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and then everything will be every weekend after that. And so I'm just delighted to be moving again because that's what I do. I've been doing that for 50 years, and but that's me. I've had a wonderful life. I've been very blessed, but a lot of people out there have been decimated. Their businesses have been hurt. Their families have been hurt. Their people have died. They're living on welfare from the government, and pretty soon they won't be able to stay in their apartments. And the homeless situation is awful and going to get worse. So I don't worry about Don McLean. I'll tell you that. I think we have a lot of our other Americans we need to worry about. Really, I mean that.
Well, and the thing is, too, I think, Don, with your song catalog, which has also been recorded by other huge artists besides yourself, it's interesting getting ready this morning for work. I put on my radio and there's Vincent, and you're playing on my radio. It's like you're everywhere. And I wanted to bring up with this great tour that you're doing this year, that you're going to be playing here at the Ryman Auditorium on May 12th also.
That's a big deal for me. I'm excited about that. First of all, I think it's going to sound really good because it's a wooden structure and it's almost like a musical instrument, that particular hall. So I'm excited. Also, all of my musicians come from Nashville, and I've been with them for the better part of at least 20 years, in some cases 30 years. All my management people and my lawyers are here, and everybody in my business part of my life. So, Nashville is such a fantastic city, and it's changed, so much since I came to record with Larry Butler in 1978. It was a sleepy town with low buildings, and now it's high rises and highways and all that stuff. I miss the old place, but I just want to say the environment was mellow and gentle. There was nothing big city about Nashville. It was gentle and nice. And I knew it was the drunk driving capital of the world, and we'd had all these stories, but it was man. And everybody was here, all the big stars from the old days, all the new stars that were really stars, were here. And so when I recorded with Larry Butler at the Jack Clement studio, and Jack Clement was Cowboy Jack. Cowboy Jack wrote I Guess Things Happen That Way, and he wrote Ballad of a Teenage Queen, and they had these characters, that were so talented. And so I was right in the middle of all that. I got to know the Jordanaires so very well for many years. They've all passed away now, except for Ray Walker, and I hope he lives forever. And Bob Moore was on my records, and it almost brings tears to my eyes to realize how lucky I was, to come in there and make 2 albums and have some hit records with these men.
Well, and you stayed so busy throughout your career, Don. I have to bring up, even the handwritten lyrics for American Pie. I believe those sold for $1.2 million back in 2015. Thinking about when you came up with this song, and obviously American Songwriter did a great article on it also. did you have any concept when you were writing it and started performing it, how it was going to resonate through the years for so many generations?
No, I really didn't. Of course not. I didn't think I would be around a year after it became number one. I was already planning. I said, this is it for me. I mean, this is way too big, and it's way too fast, and they're gonna kill me. And so I just have to buy a nice little house, which I did, and I'm gonna be finished. And I accepted that. I said, well, I had a lovely experience, getting here, and had no idea that the music business would change, and it's amazing. American business is an amazing thing. I mean, just talk about the music business for a moment now. I've made 20 some studio albums. I have live albums. I have albums from specials, and there's probably 40 albums of me out there. And back in those days when this happened, and I was thinking this way, who would have imagined that vinyl would go away? And then I thought, wow, that was amazing. And then CDs would come in, and we'd get to sell the same stuff over again, for another 10, 20 years. And now everything is gone, and we're in this cloud virtual world we're in. I have no idea what's going on. And now they have these NFTs, which is a whole other thing, this blockchain and Bitcoin and all this. It's always happening. So you never, this is the thing, you never know what's next. And yet we had vinyl albums for late 50s on for 30 years. We had 78 RPMs from like the 20s on. Right. So the technology was fairly stable. Now, boom, bow, it's just like a whole new thing. That's why all these big publishing companies are buying these catalogs for these outrageous amounts of money, because they know that they're stealing these songs. And unfortunately,
just like your music, look at your catalog. How your catalog has, continues to be put into films like, The Avengers, Black Widow, and Finch. Yeah. And I mean, your music is everywhere still today, Don.
Yeah, well, they asked me, do I want to sell my catalog and I'm sure it would be for a tremendous amount of money. And I say to myself, am I smarter than Universal? Am I smarter than BMG? Mm-hmm. Am I smarter than Warner Brothers about publishing? No, I'm not. So I'd rather be on the keeping side rather than the selling side. And I would advise that to others, and they don't need my advice, but it just seems to me no one's giving you any gifts. That's in this business, I'll tell you that.
Right. Well, and you have had the gift of being on the Las Vegas Walk of Stars, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You're in the Songwriter Hall of Fame. You've had a lot of awards coming up, plus, with the BBC Award, Lifetime Achievement. And then I believe, Don, back in 2020, didn't you sign a new recording contract with Time Life?
Yes, we put up a YouTube channel, and they came out with an album called Still Playing Favorites, which you can hear on the internet.
Great stuff.
It's all funky tunes that we do with my band on the road. And before that, I had Botanical Gardens, which was BMG. And I did a lot of, I thought, very nice songs on that. And now we have a new album called American Boys, which is going to come out this year and be online next year.
Wow.
And I wrote some of those songs with Vipperman, my guitar player, who's a songwriter also. And both of us were really happy because we hadn't written in a while, and he had some stuff laying around that he didn't know what to do with, and I figured out what to do with them. So, we had a great experience together doing that. And so, we rock on and we roll on, and that's all.
Well, and I've got to bring up, too, what's this rumor I hear about a children's book also, Don?
That's coming out in June, and all over the world. It's called American Pie, A Fable. And Spencer Proffer, who is a man in my life, who is a guy who gets projects done, has not only done that, his wife, Judy Proffer, wrote the book, and they have wonderful illustrations. And So that's will be out in June. But then there's also a documentary movie called The Day the Music Died, about the making of American Pie, and
wow,
that's going to be on Paramount Plus through Viacom, and we're almost done with that. By the end of this week, I'm going to see a version of this that's pretty close to finished. And what I do is I actually sit down with my guitar and sing the song and talk about each verse. Almost line by line, what I was thinking of, how what I meant. But there's just a lot of zaniness in my music and in me, and so I will, I sort it all out pretty much.
Well, I think that's what I've always appreciated about your songwriting, your lyrics, and your performance, Don, is that the imagery that you paint with your songs, just like when I mentioned Vincent earlier, one of my favorite songs of yours. The imagery, you can see it in your mind as you're hearing the song.
Well, that's what happens to me. I see it, and then I write what I see. So that's how I kind of do it. I don't sit there and look at words on a paper. I don't do that. I have a vision that comes into my head, and I see it, and I start writing what I'm seeing in whatever kind of whatever form of poetry that I want to. I don't plan any of that. And so I'll write different types of lyrics. For example, again, Wonderful Baby is a radically different type of a lyric than Vincent is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed to me that you had to write it that wonderful baby, living on love, kind of like a soap ad from the 50s or something, And so you just see it as a small thing and the little lyrics and everything. And then Vincent is this big thing, and American Pie is something else, and Dreidel is something else. And so each idea, I have a feeling in me about what kind of rhythm and tone and words should be used to express that particular notion. And I don't repeat myself.
Totally. And I definitely want to bring up again to where the American Pie 50th anniversary tour, not only, touring North America, it's an international tour. And we're so thrilled to have you here at the Ryman on May 12th, too, for the show.
Well, I'm an American artist, and I sing the American songbook, so I couldn't be any more American than the Ryman. I'm so delighted and excited.
Well, and we're excited to have you here. I think it's going to be a great tour. Obviously, I keep up with you on social media, so I can see all the shows and everything you're doing, Don, which is always fun. And you've got a great website as well that has everything listed. And I'm sure, from the children's book, the tour, everything else you have going on will be on the website, correct?
Don't forget the movie. That's be coming out in June, and that's going to be a big deal.
I can't wait to watch that. I love watching those kind of movies and documentaries because I always learn something new. And I can't wait to hear you go through the songs.
This is more than a year in the making. It's been a lot of work by Mark Morman, who's the guy who's the filmmaker, and he's a wonderful man and a terrific filmmaker, and we have something just about ready to lock down now.
I can't wait to see it, and I'm sure many fans and audiences will be the same. Don McLean, thank you so much for joining us again, and have a great tour and with all your other incredible music endeavors this year.
Nice to see you again. We'll see each other in the future, I am sure, and thanks for having me.
Always. Thank you, Don.
Bye-bye.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.